It's a lovely winter day. No, it's not a good day to be on the side of the highway. I assume you people think that this happens a lot to me, but it really doesn't. And it happened with a very unexpected car. My 1995 C36 has left me stranded on the way to the car wizards. I was gonna go work on my unreliable broken M5 and my unreliable broken DeLorean. And now I have an unreliable broken Mercedes. I don't know what happened. I was just cruising on the highway, hit the cruise control. The ASR light came on, which is part of the traction control system, and then the throttle was all nuts. I figured something electrically had a little hiccup, so I was gonna pull over, turn the car off, turn it back on again, and she didn't have enough juice to restart herself. The battery is dead, so I don't know what happened. Alternator, maybe. I don't know. The thing is, this car sits so much, and it doesn't matter how reliable the car is. It's an old car just sitting is the worst thing that you can do for it. And there's the wizard doing his off-roading. Whoa! Look at the wizard. He's got an early avalanche with the cladding. The only way you should have an avalanche. Oh yeah. Wee wee! Save me! Save me!
I brought another battery.
It'll jump. It'll be fine. And horsey. It's fine. Okay, we're rolling again, and everything's fine. I really don't understand. The ASR light would come on if the battery did have low voltage, but the car started right up in the garage. I don't know, but the good news is I was going to the right place to have car problems.
Replace battery.
Okay, well, I guess I'll replace the battery. My C36 now cranks faster than it ever has since I bought it, so must have been the battery. Now we have real projects here, starting with this 2007 BMW M5. The wizard has been quite busy while I've been on my honeymoon, but when I first bought this thing, I felt like I bought the automotive equivalent of a first-class ticket on the Hindenburg. It's quite bad, and equally bad was my 1982 DeLorean purchase, which shares the same affliction as this car, a bad transmission, along with countless other problems. I thought I admired myself in two never-ending financial bottomless pit of projects, but now that I have some parts coming in and the car wizard, my mechanic, has dove into these projects, there is some hope. It actually appears my bank account won't go down in flames for once. I didn't know until I Googled this recently, but the origin of the term basket case actually comes from World War I, when people would get blown up and have their limbs removed from their bodies, and then they would have to haul those body parts off in baskets. The people that had lost their limbs would be called basket cases, which is horrible and gory and terrible. And how that evolved to now describing crazy people and horrible cars, I have no idea, but it's the best term to describe this 2007 BMW M5. I bought it for only $6,500, making it the cheapest BMW M5 in the USA, but that definitely wasn't cheap enough. It probably wouldn't have been cheap enough if it were free, because it had a failing SMG transmission along with a massive oil leak and countless other problems. I think 30-something fault codes in the engine computer. It was a total mess. This former super saloon with 500 horsepower now had an estimate of $8,000 to $11,000 worth of repairs. And it could go even higher because these transmissions themselves are over 10 grand. But there was a little angel of mercy. I'm so lucky with this YouTube and autotrader.com/oversteer platform. Link below is my article where I have an audience. Now, most of you watch these videos like watching someone in a car accident or like a Russian dash cam footage of YouTube videos of people crashing into each other. I'm basically that. But some of you actually want to help. And one angel of mercy in my audience is named Jordan, and he was parting out a BMW M5 just like this one. I guess he wants to use the engine for a swap candidate in another project, and he was selling off the rest of it. And he was willing to sell me this SMG transmission out of a low mileage car, along with all the bits that are attached to it, the clutch, the pump, everything, along with the oil cooler, which was the main source of a giant oil leak on this car, for only $2,700. Quite a deal when you consider the transmissions sell for $4,000 new, and then the SMG pumps I think are $5,000 or $6,000, and then a clutch would have been $600 or $700. I was able to reuse the clutch because it's such low mileage. So this is a small miracle right here that's going to save me a bunch of money, and I think I'm going to get my hands dirty a little bit and help the wizard put this thing in, or at least get in his way. Wizard? The wizard's washing his hands and his face because he got battery acid on him from my battery that was exploding back there. I found the one fluid that he finally won't put in his mouth. He puts every other car fluid in his body, but not battery acid apparently. He does have limits. Wizard, are you okay?
I'm okay. I'm all cleaned up now. The burning is gone.
Yes, battery acid, you don't want to mess with that.
The things I go through for Hoovies Garage.
Yeah, well, you're happy with me because I found a total transmission complete with everything, right?
Yeah, it's going to save you a lot of money and a lot of time on my part.
Now, if y'all aren't very familiar with the SMG transmission in a BMW, I'm really not either, but it's like a lot of automated manual transmissions that came out in the 2000s. None of them were really that good. The Ferrari F1 that broke a lot, they would use the clutches every 10,000 miles, same as the Maseratis. It's the same with this BMW. It's not as bad as those, but still pretty bad. It has a clutch just like a manual transmission, and a computer controls the shifting. And each of these represents a gear, I think, where it's shifting through like you were selecting a gear. This makes it shift a lot faster than any human could possibly shift, giving you great performance, but they clearly didn't last that long. And nowadays, every performance car has a dual clutch transmission. And I think the only car left that actually still has a transmission like this in production is the Lamborghini Aventador. It's a little dark in here, but you can see how the wizard has teed everything up. This transmission tunnel is nice and big. There's the clutch already bolted up to the car. You can see the ends of the exhaust coming out here. And right now they're counting bolts. I think Scott took the transmission out, so we get to blame him for everything that's wrong.
I'm pretty sure these are all. Yep, we got them.
All 12?
There's 12 of these, 6 of these.
Nice. You didn't screw up.
Nope.
Poor Scott had to put the Viper back together after I took it apart, so
That was fun.
he was cursing my name quite a bit, I'm sure.
Not as much as you think.
Like, where's the bolts at? Where did he put them?
Oh my God.
Can you do it?
Yes, I can do it. I'm a man. Oh. God. Okay. I guess while we're jacking, this is a good time to talk about the Wizard's channel. It actually featured the DeLorean recently, as well as him dancing to my rap.
You're a pretty good rap artist.
Thank you. So this looks almost easier than bolting and unbolting a normal automatic transmission because you don't have any linkages, you just have plugs, right? It's all electrical. There's a lot of plugs, and this is why I'm keeping it as an SMG transmission. You all commented that I should swap this thing to a manual transmission, which they did make manual M5s, and they are quite valuable, but there's just no way to do that practically. I guess you would need the engine computer probably from a manual transmission car. You'd have to change the wiring harnesses because I would assume like the traction control system, the ABS is all different programming for automatic versus manual. They're a lot more electronically involved nowadays than cars of the 70s and 80s where you could swap engines and transmissions easily enough.
Now, back to the hole in the shaft and all that.
You gotta be very careful, Wizard. This is a family channel. Does it make things easier when I'm just right over your shoulder, just breathing heavily?
Actually, I don't mind.
He doesn't mind.
I need to come down and then...
This episode is taking a weird turn. Here you go.
There, got it.
Oh, yes, that's much better.
So there's progress here. We have a transmission in. There's still a few bolts that need to go in, a drive shaft, fluids, a bunch of other stuff, oil cooler, and then fix all the electrical problems. It's kind of the song that never ends, but at least the main chorus here is we're through all that. But moving on to the DeLorean, it has a transmission that's ready to go in. We're not going to do that right now, but I can show you what's going on over there. Yes, dueling projects, the cheapest M5 in the USA and the cheapest DeLorean in the USA, both with bad transmissions. But I had another angel of mercy. This time his name was Dan, and he had a DeLorean that he decided to swap the automatic transmission with a manual transmission. And he was very happy to get this one out of the garage for only $1,200, which is cheaper than I could rebuild one. I was having trouble finding a rebuild kit in the first place, but I was going to spend probably a couple grand rebuilding a transmission. But this one looks like it's out of a low mileage, really nice car. It looks way nicer than the transmission that got pulled out of this thing. But before the transmission goes in, they need to order some parts, a rear main seal along with a bunch of other seals that are going to be easier to get with all this out of the way. Luckily, DeLorean parts are still really easy to get. I'm surprised. And the whole parts total bill outside of the transmission is about $1,400 to get this thing back on the road. A fuel pump, the whole system needs to be rebuilt, and it's all there, and it's not very expensive. So this is quite a relief here. So things are looking pretty good here. Normally when you buy the cheapest car in the USA, you would have been a lot smarter to buy a nice example in the first place because it costs more to restore these vehicles than they're actually worth. But in the case of the M5 and this DeLorean, I might actually come out ahead for once. I know famous last words and we're just getting started, so I probably jinxed myself, but I definitely have reason for optimism. It's a good day. My Mercedes breaks down on the way to the car wizard. It's just a battery. My M5 is on its way to getting fixed, and my DeLorean, things are looking good as well. So I'm happy. You should be happy too. I'm so happy I could sing. I could sing a song right now.
No, please don't. Please don't. I'll make you a deal. You don't sing, I won't dance.
I think that's a good deal. Thank you for watching. Wizard did the little... Oh yeah.